Hello my bunnies, it's Ticky's Trinkets here, and today I have for y'all another polymer clay tutorial. Before we get started, I just wanted to mention that I have re-dyed my hair using my Punky shampoo dye stuff. It's a shampoo and conditioner that also deposits color. Let me just change this lighting up a little, there we go. And it is the teal color blue that I've had before. It's probably hard to see in this lighting, but against my pale white skin, you can tell pretty well. And it just came out so pretty, so much better than the nasty purple I had last week. We're glad that that purple is gone. Technically, indigo is what it was called. Either way, glad that it's gone. Today we're going to be making another polymer clay tutorial. Today I'm going to be, well, as the thumbnail suggested, making Sugar Fluff. And she is just so darn cute. She came out so perfect. And I tell you, when I tell you this, I mean in all seriousness, getting this shape of the back, which is hard to see, this up hump, down dip, and over hump, and the fluff, and blending the thighs into the body itself, which it's not wanting to do. Can you not? Like, zoom in bright white. Just, I used a lot of different techniques that I don't usually do in this tutorial, so make sure you pay attention to this tutorial to really know how to get the shapes right if you want to make it just like mine. But if you don't, make it however you feel like. This is this is my own original art, not fan art. This is my brand-inspired creatures. I did 3 potato chip ones before. If you haven't seen that, go watch it. It should be in the same playlist. If not, just go to my channel, look under my videos or my playlists. Easy peasy. And there were 3 of those, 3 potato chip ones, and these are going to be 3 cookie ones. I actually wanted to start out with this one because this is going to be the simplest one, so look forward to the other 2. They're going to be much more elaborate than this little girl, and I mean, look at her. She's so extra herself, so that just goes to show you the other ones are going to be really elaborate and fun. Also, just one more thing, the kind of like Mia face, I don't really show the cat face right there in detail how to make it perfectly, but I just used this semicircle cutter that I got out of a set from Hobby Lobby. Well, I didn't get it from Hobby Lobby, I got the Hobby Lobby set at the flea market near me for $5, so that was cheap. But you might not be able to find something like that, and that set's $40 in store brand new, so that's way expensive. So if you don't have that tool, just use any kind of circular shape thing and just use it to cut a half circle shape onto the mouth, or use some kind of cutting tool to indent the mouth. Yeah, just kind of play around and do whatever techniques fit you best. And yeah, pretty self-explanatory. Also, oh, my laptop's haunted. Thank you guys so much for watching, and that's pretty much it. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to hit the notification bell so you can be updated every time I post a video. I always post videos on Friday night, or at least I try to. And if you can't watch it Friday evening, because it's usually late, watch it Saturday morning. Or hit the notification bell so you'll know it's up and watch it whenever you have the chance. I really hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. If you ever make something in one of my videos, definitely make sure you tag me in it on Instagram. Don't do it on Twitter because I'm not on there very frequently. But just tag Ticky's Trinkets, just like my channel name. No capital letters, no apostrophes, nothing fancy. Just Ticky's Trinkets, one word, very simple. And I'll definitely love to see it and comment on it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Again, I hope you enjoyed this. And that's enough chit-chatting. It's almost 4 minutes long now. Let's get into this tutorial. See you there! Alright, for this tutorial you're going to need polymer clay in dusty rose color and white color. Easy. I'm going to start by pre-rolling all the pink balls that I need, and we'll go to the white balls later. I think I might add some more pink balls close to the end if I'm not mistaken, but we'll address that if it comes. First we started with the big ball and rolled it into a teardrop shape, the largest ball, and then cut the top off. Then I pressed it down flat, but instead of keeping it straight, as you can see, I kind of bent it and curved it. And then to make this indentation a little more distinct, I used my X-Acto blade in to push it into it, and then smooth it in with my fingers, so it just kind of looks like the cat is kind of like arching its back. I know it looks weird, but I think it just came out so cute. If you want to do it the way I did, you could just do a straight body, but it's up to you. I want to be more dynamic with my poses. Next, we're going on to the second largest ball, which is the head, which I made by pressing my finger in to make that indented shape. And then for the snout part, the nose and mouth, I just rolled it back and forth with my fingers to make it more rounded and pointed. Next, I put a piece of metal wire in for stability. I didn't use a toothpick because I needed to make it curved shape. Just bend it with your fingers and then put the head on top. Next, we're going to make the front legs / paws. So we're going to use both these balls, the one on the left and the adjacent one on the right. Roll them into teardrop shapes, but unlike my usual tutorials, the rounder, fatter ends is not going to be the feet. This time it's the more narrow, smaller ends, which I'm going to use to bend just like I do with the bigger ends usually, and then I'm going to cut the tops off at an angle. And then the bigger ends will be attached to the body like so, and the smaller ends will be separate. I did the same thing with Kermit the Frog, but I made the whole entire arms really skinny. Next, I'm going to use my blending tool to blend the arms into the body. And then I also use my X-Acto blade to indent little toesies, or fingers, whatever you want to call it. I call them toesies. And then that's where I blended it into the body. Next, we're going to go ahead and move on to the tail, which is this ball right here, which you're going to roll into a teardrop shape, but then roll the opposite side also to make it pointed as well, just like this. Mine came out about 2 inches long. And as you can see right here, I cut off about 2 centimeters worth, maybe. A very small amount. Is that millimeters or centimeters at that point? I think that would be millimeters. Either way, and then I curled it around the body and made sure it would fit on the base fine. You don't have to use a base. That's just me. Do it however you like. Next, we're going to do the thighs, or the fat part, chunky parts of the legs. We're going to press those on our work surface and make them round on the top but flat on the bottom. Then I attached it to the body, and using my blended tool, I blended just the tops and the sides to the body, not the bottom or the front. If you're having any problems, just pause it there and take your time with this step. Next, I used the 2 balls at the bottom to make into feet. To do that, like I normally do, I rolled them into small teardrop shapes, pressed them down with my index finger so they'll be round on the top but flat on the bottom. And then to make the toes, I just used my X-Acto blade to indent the toes, just, 3 on each foot, 3 on each paws, same as the ones on the top. Then I just slid them underneath the thighs, and if they don't fit, cut a little bit of the thighs on the bottom off, which I had to do that, but it'll still look seamless once you get it all together. Next, we're going to make her little tufts of fur. So we're going to use these 2 balls right here and roll them into teardrop shapes. And then after you roll them into teardrop shapes, cut off the back sides and keep the pointed parts. Then just stick them on the face. And then whatever you use to blend your clay in with, whether it's your finger or a tool is easier for angles. I just blended it into the face. And as you can see, I use the same tool over and over. I have many tools, but it's my preference. But you can use whatever you have. Next, I moved on to the last 2 balls I had, and I rolled them into teardrop shapes and cut the tops off, just like before. But this time I used that same blending tool to indent the inner parts of the ears so that they're triangular on the inside and outside. Then I stuck them on the head, but do not blend them yet because we're going to add white inside the head. Now I realized there was more bits I wanted to add, so I grabbed the extra clay bits that I had cut off and stacked up. And now I'm going to make 4 more additional pink balls, and these are just going to be to add extra fluffiness. And then I started by taking the 2 in the front and rolling them into teardrop shapes. And then I cut off the bottoms, but I didn't cut them off straight, I cut them off at an angle. And then this part, both of these, I'm going to put on the tail, one closer to the back and one closer to the front. I left space in the middle for a white one. Next, I decided I didn't want to do 2 pink balls, the 2 at the top. I just did 1 for the chest plate instead of the chest and the back, because the back looked silly to me. So I rolled it into a teardrop shape, then I pressed it down. Then after that, I flipped it over, the more round sides on the actual desk now, and I cut it down at an angle. That way, when you stick it on the body like this, you'll see that the rounded part's sticking out and blended in nice and smoothly. Next, I took 50% rubbing alcohol and cleaned her off, and let me tell you, Dusty Rose and white clay get dirty fast. It's a pain. Next, I went on ahead and stuck in some acrylic beads for eyes. And then after that, we're going to go ahead and move on to the white color clay, which I'm just using Sculpey 3 white. Nothing special here. And I'm going to start by pre-rolling the balls, just like we did with the pink. And we're going to start with the 2 itsy bitsy ones up at the top. And you're going to want to roll these into little teardrop shapes. Then after that, I put them inside of the ears and just used that same blending tool to indent them and squish them down in the ears. Then I cut off the excess bits with my X-Acto blades. And then the white bits, if they don't have too much pink on them, put them back in your pack and use them later, or put them in a scrap pile. And now you can use your blending tool to blend these pink ears into the head, but don't mix the white in or it'll look kind of weird. And that's what it ended up looking like. Adorable! Next, we're going to make her little itty bitty nosy. To make a nose, I don't usually show it because it takes both hands. Just using both hands, both index and thumbs, just pinch it until you make it into a triangular shape. If you've ever played with Play-Doh and made a triangle, it's the same premise. Next, we're going on to the second ball the third ball from the top. And we're going to roll it into a teardrop shape and cut it at an angle. And that's going to be her little hair piece. So the flat part I just stuck on her head and then curved it to make it curly. You could do straight, you could do no hair, that's up to you. Now we're going on to the second one from the bottom. And then I decided to cut this ball in half and make it into 2 instead of just 1. And I decided to make this 2 extra fluffs of white clay, just using the same technique you used for the pink one. And then I just put them onto the body and then just curved them slightly, just to give her extra fluff. Finally, we're on to the last white ball of clay, which is going to be for the tail. And you're going to do similar to what we've been doing. Roll it into a teardrop shape, cut it at an angle. And the little pointy piece you're just going to insert in between the 2 pink fluffy pieces on the tail. Like so. Perfect. Now I also realized I forgot another ball of white clay. I decided I wanted to make a frosted sugar cookie for her to be holding at the beginning. I just forgot. But I just took 1 piece of clay and I just pulled it into the shape using my fingers really roughly. And then just smoothed it out with my fingers. It's hard to explain, but just pull it until it looks like a cat. Then I cut off the bottom so that it would sit perfectly under her hand. And then I took everything apart right here so I could clean it off again because the white clay was dirty and some of the pink was dirty again. And yes, it took that many cotton swabs to clean it because these clays hold dirt like nothing else. Next, I went on ahead and took the little cookie back out of her hand. And I took her eyes off as well. And now you're ready to bake. I baked it at 350 degrees for 12 minutes in a gas oven or do it for 9 in an electric. I also put wood underneath her hand because wood is oven safe to keep her hand from falling down. You can also use tinfoil. While she's baking, I painted the wooden base with this pink acrylic paint. It did actually warp the base. I put too much, so I redid the base later with a new piece of wood. Things happen, but it's okay. Once it was done baking and cooled off completely, I got out a rainbow assortment of paint. I also did green, but I forgot to put it in the picture, and polka dotted the front and back of the cat and the cookie. Once that's all fully dry, which weighed a long time, I glued the eyes and the cat onto her paw and the eyes in her head using the Loctite glue, and then I used E6000 to glue her to the actual base. And then once that's completely dry, which give it a good 30 minutes at least, I use polyacrylic floor varnish to glaze her up, and then you're done. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you in my next video. Bye-bye, my bunnies.